Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Dinowrestler Yugioh deck profile. For the year 2025, I finally wanted to update the Dinowrestler deck. It's been a while since I've actually updated this deck. I haven't done an update to the deck since Pankratops has gone back to 3, so I figured an update was definitely due just because it helps to fully power the Dinowrestler deck. For so long, Pankratops was used as a staple in many decks, so with the card being limited, the Dinowrestler deck definitely took a hit, but now that Pankratops is seeing less relevance in the meta and is now back at full power again, it just makes it all the better to run in the Dinowrestler deck. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. The big boss monster of the main deck is finally back. Dinowrestler Pankratops at 3. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon Pankratops once per turn this way. Quick effect, you contribute one Dinowrestler monster, target one card your opponent controls, and destroy it. You can only use this effect of Pankratops once per turn. But for the fact that this is a Dinowrestler deck, you don't necessarily have to tribute Pankratops to activate this effect. You can summon and tribute out any of your other Pankratops monsters, or not Pankratops, Dinowrestler monsters, and be able to gain that destruction of your opponent's cards in just the same quick effect way that you could with the original use of Pankratops as a staple. We're also running 3 copies of Dinowrestler Yugioh. With this card, you can discard one other Dinowrestler monster to special summon this card from your hand. You can tribute one Dinowrestler monster, then target one Dinowrestler monster in your graveyard with a different original name from the tributed monster. Special summon it in defense. You only use each effect of Yugioh once per turn. Being able to have a discard for a particular Dinowrestler monster, or just grab a resource by then tributing another Dinowrestler, can just give you more and more different resources as an easy special summon for Yugioh onto the field. And being a level 6 monster, it also gives us access to some of these stronger rank 6 Dino, or Dragon options for our extra deck by using the dinosaur monsters that we have in the deck as well to do so. We're also running 3 copies of Dinowrestler Capoeira Raptor. In this attack position card cannot be destroyed by battle. If it's attacked, it changes to defense at the end of damage step. During standby phase, if it's in defense, you can special summon one Capoeira Raptor from your deck. You can use this effect of Dinowrestler Capoeira Raptor once per turn. So with this card, just being able to have a destroy by battle destruction prevention in attack position, and then switch it to defense to grab you another Capoeira Raptor from the deck, can just help with your link plays, with link summoning being a big part of the deck depending on the link monster that you want to summon out to the field. And also the 3 copies of Dinowrestler Stegosaur. If this card is special summon, you can add one Dinowrestler monster or one World Dino Wrestling from your deck to your hand. And also during the end phase, of this card's in the graveyard because it was sent there this turn, and your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can target one Dinowrestler monster in your graveyard except for Stegosaur and special summon it. So this is definitely one of the better level 4 monsters in the deck, just being able to fully utilize a setup with this card by special summoning it to then give you a Dinowrestler monster or World Wrestling Dino field spell from your deck to your hand. Just gives you more and more search power depending on what you may want to add, set up on the field, and then just get more resources back from the graveyard when it was sent to the graveyard that turn. For some of the lower numbers, we're running 2 copies of Dinowrestler Koalasalat. If you control no monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. If summoned this way, this card cannot be used as link material except for the link summon of a Dinowrestler monster. You can only special summon Dinowrestler Koalasalat once per duel this way, but we still run the 2 added tuner options so we can see more of a way to be able to go into our synchro monster, Dinowrestler Yugioh Spinal Savat, using this card for the tuner option as just an easy special summon, and then also being able to make use of it with our level 6 Yugioh as a special summon, having both easy ways to then grab our synchro monster on the field, with the last of the 2 ofs being 2 copies of Dinowrestler Martial Anga. During damage calc, when your Dinowrestler monster battles a monster with equal or higher attack, quick effect, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. Your battling monster cannot be destroyed by that battle. Also end the battle phase after a damage step, and once per turn during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was sent there to activate this effect, and your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon this card. So not only is it kind of like an honest hand trap option to end the battle phase, it also just gives you a special summon resource onto the field as well if your opponent controls more monsters than you do. And for our 1-ofs, we run 1 copy of Dinowrestler Martial Impello. This is a level 1 Dinowrestler, which we run just so we can have more of a Miscellaneosaurus target with this card to special summon from the deck. The 1 Capaptera for the added play to target a monster your opponent controls and send to the graveyard if your opponent controls more monsters than we do. And then an attack boost as well for our Link monster, giving giving an additional 1,000 boost if it was sent to the graveyard as link material for that link monster. We're also running the 1 copy of Marshall and Kilo and the 1 Ranbrachio for the rest of the 1-ofs for the Dinowrestler monsters. Just more of a special summon option with Ranbrachio, and then the damage calc option to send this card from your hand to the graveyard to have that monster not be destroyed by battle using our Marshall and Kilo. Just more hand trap options with the variety of different Dinowrestler monsters that we don't want to summon out onto the field. The only non-Dinowrestler dinosaur monster that we run is the 1 copy of Miscellaneousaurus. Just being able to send this card from the hand to the graveyard during the main phase, dinosaurs you control are unaffected by your opponent's activate effects. So you could set up your link play as you go into the battle phase, and then having the banish from the graveyard to then be able to summon out our level 1 Marshall and Pello from the deck, or if we have more and more dinos in the graveyard, all the easier to special summon out some specific Dinowrestler monsters as well. And then the only non-dinosaur monster in the main deck is just our small hand trap lineup that we run is the Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring target, along with the Infinite Impermanence lineup that we're running in the traps. For the spells, we're running 3 copies of World Dino Wrestling. With this card, while you control a Dinowrestler monster, each player can attack with only 1 monster during the battle phase. If your Dinowrestler monster attacks an opponent's monster, it gains 200 attack during damage calc only. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can banish this card from your graveyard to special summon 1 Dinowrestler monster from your deck. You're going to use each effect of World Dino Wrestling once per turn, but just as a better Foolish Burial Goods target to send to the graveyard as well, to give you a special summon. If your opponent controls more monsters than you do, it could just be the good going second option to send and set up for 1 Dinowrestler monster to grab from your deck. And also 3 copies of Tyrant Dino Fusion. Fusion summon 1 Dinowrestler monster from your extra deck using monsters you control as fusion material. If you do, the first time that face a monster on the field will be destroyed by battle or card effect. It is not added protection when your Dinowrestler monster battles your opponent's monster. We're running the max 3 of this card, even though we're only running 2 of the fusion in the extra deck, so we can just have a better chance to see this target to use. I considered running cards like Super Polymerization, but granted for the fact that we have a fusion monster that really just requires our own Dinowrestler cards, I just decided to stick with the Tyrant Dino Fusion for that spot. And 3 copies of Fossil Dig, just so we have the search for a good majority of the dinosaur monsters that we run in the deck to use. And 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods, just be able to send our World Dino Wrestling to the graveyard to have the Banished Special Summon play. And then for the rest of the 1-ofs of the spells, 1 copy of Call by the Grave and the 1 copy of Pot of Prosperity. Now, I know we have a ban list if Pot of Prosperity does happen to get hit. You can always just replace this card with an additional copy of Foolish Burial Goods. And then for the traps to finish off the lineup, just 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence to go along with the hand trap spot for our Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. For the extra deck, we are running the 3 copies of Dinowrestler Terra Parcorio. We run 3 copies just so we have some other targets to also use for our Pot of Prosperity. Needing 2 Dinowrestler monsters, if you activate World Dino Wrestling, you can target 1 Dinowrestler monster in your graveyard, add it to your hand. If this card is set as graveyard as link material, you can target a Dinowrestler monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense, but its effects are negated. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn, except for Dinowrestler monsters. It's set up for your other Dinowrestler extra deck plays, and also just more, resource grab from the graveyard to add back monsters we may have used to make Terra Parcorio once we activate our field spell. We're also running 2 copies of King T. Rexel, which would be one of the best cards to use when World Dino Wrestling is set up on the field as well. If it battles, your opponent can activate spell traps till the end of damage step. Your opponent's monsters cannot target monsters for attack except for this one. And at the start of your opponent's battle phase, you can target 1 attack with your monster your opponent controls. This battle phase, your opponent cannot attack with other monsters until this one has. So this is basically setting up the World Dino Wrestling arena for your dinosaur monsters to go up against your opponent's monsters, and King T. Rexel being able to target the one it wants to battle the most out of your opponent's monsters. We also run the 2 copies of Chimera T. Rexel, needing 1 Dinowrestler Link monster and 1 Dinowrestler monster. If it battles, your opponent can activate spell traps once again. If it attacks a defense monster, invoke piercing battle damage, and your opponent's monsters cannot target monster attacks except this one. And if it destroys a monster by battle, it gains 500 attack. And if it's destroyed by a card effect, destroy all opponent's attack position monsters. So you have all of these different go-to dinos for your main attack for that turn. And then just Chimera T. Rexel having more of a destruction power with the last last of them being the 2 copies of Spino Savant. For this card vid battles, once again, spell and trap restriction, and your opponent monsters cannot target monster attack except this one, and you can target one monster your opponent controls, destroy it. If it'll be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy one card you control instead. Added protection, getting rid of cards like your field spell, anything else you may have on the field. It's all about just your Dinowrestler monster surviving that one attack it goes up against your opponent with. For the Xyz monsters, I run 1 copy of Dinowrestler Yugioh, the 1 Dolka, along with the 1 Lars, the 1 Solda, and then the added rank up plays to go into them being the 1 Zeus and the 1 Sky Crisis. But as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, the added setup that I mentioned before, if you go second against your opponent, then you have the full-on attack step to use. So being able to use cards like Foolish Barrel Goods to send your World Dino Wrestling to the graveyard. If your opponent at least has 1 monster, you can then use the banish play for the World Dino Wrestling to special summon a Dinowrestler monster, or with this play, from your deck. You could go for some of the bigger plays, like summoning out Pankratops to the field, but you could also go for the additional play of, if your opponent has 2 monsters, summoning out your Stegosaur to the field, because then with this card, you can add an additional Dinowrestler monster, so then you can add Pankratops off of this play, summoning out your Pankratops if your opponent controls those 2 monsters, and then have the 2 needed cards to then go into your Link 2 play as well. You have that added setup for your Link 2 monster without even normal summoning out a monster yet to the field. So if you go for that 1 additional normal summon, then you have your Link 2 and your Link 3 monster to then go into your King T-Rexel. The main play also would be to get your field spell out, so if you activate World Dino Wrestling, not only will that give you back an add from the graveyard to your hand, you also have the play of the add back at the end phase with Stegosaur, so make sure you use your additional link plays to go into your bigger monster, because not only will you have your big boss monster, King T-Rexel, onto the field, but then you'll have the add back power to add back 1 more Dinowrestler monster, restricting your opponent to the 1 attack, which will have to go into King T-Rexel to do so. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, a lot of people have been requesting an update to the Dinowrestler deck, so glad I was finally able to update it for you all. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.